Hi everyone, we are the UWM-NM Computer Science Capstone team for Spring 2019, and this is a project demo of the application we created for the UWM Research Poster Competition. Before we get into the demo and the project itself, I just want to introduce the two teams. So for the front-end team, everybody that we had on the team, Caitlin, which is myself, Adam, David, and Zane. And then for the back end, we had Mingren, Fozia, Tyler, and James. Now to talk a little bit about what the UWM College of Engineering and Applied Science Research Poster Competition is. So just to give you a little bit of a background, every year the College of Engineering and Applied Science hosts a research competition in spring, where students who have been working on research with professors for the past year, past semester, can present their research by creating a poster, and then UWM invites industry professionals to judge the student research. And this is done in a couple different ways. So there's kind of two competitions that are occurring at the same time, one for graduates and one for undergraduates. And so the undergraduates will present all their posters and judges will come score those, and then the graduates will do so at the same time. And a judge might score more than one poster within that specific category, and a student might be scored by more than one judge within that category. And then so the top six from each category, graduate and undergraduate, move on to round two, where the top six will do sort of like a 5-minute presentation. And then all of the graduate judges or all of the undergraduate judges will score each of those top six to determine the order and the winners. And so previously all of the scoring for this was done by hand, but there's a couple issues with that, specifically that it's prone to error, and it's a little bit slow between rounds and for the final calculations. And so UWM enlisted our capstone group to help create a mobile web application for judges to score posters, for students to pick their student choice award, and then for admins to kind of tally up all of those results. And so our group was mentored by Northwestern Mutual's test engineering team, where they provided us with their technology stack, and really wanted us to focus on learning that technology stack and learning cloud services and developing an application that is secure, and then also practicing the best testing practices and having good test coverage. And so NM's technology stack consists of the following technologies. On the front end, we had a React web-based application that used Redux for state management, and then on the back end we built a REST-based microservice using Maven and Java Spring. For our cloud services, we took advantage of AWS cloud services, and we had a Docker image for the back end and a Docker image for the front end, and then these Docker images were stored in a Nexus artifact repository and then used to run on two AWS EC2 instances. And the backend instance specifically connected to an AWS service called RDS, which managed all of our databases and tables, and it was specifically running MySQL. And then lastly, we used GitLab CI/CD pipelines to really manage all of our code and keep track of whether or not it was had good test coverage, whether or not it built, and then it was used to actually deploy our application to the live version. And the last piece of technology that we used was SonarQube, which is a testing tool that's used to monitor test coverage. So now I want to talk a little bit about our local development process. So here I have the local version of our app. The front end is running using the terminal, so you can see here I've got two terminals. This one specifically for the front end, so to get it started, we just use two npm commands, npm run build and then npm start. And similarly, the backend is also run using a terminal. So we have we're using Maven, so the command would be mvn clean install and then mvn spring boot run. And again, this allows us to do local development, and the backend is specifically using a database service called H2. And H2 is essentially just a console that you can run in your web browser to view all of your tables, make changes to those tables, and so on. So now we'll do a demo of our application. We have 3 screens. There's the admin screen, the judge screen, and then a student screen. But first we're going to start off with the login screen. And so the default page of our application, our home screen, is this login form that requires authentication. So here I would have to enter an email address and then a password, which for the competition we use PIN numbers. And here I'm logging in as an admin. So there's a couple of things that are going on behind the scenes. So first of all, our front end is making an API call to the back end with the information that whoever is logging in is using to log in their credentials, so their email address and their PIN number, password. And it's sending that to the backend, which is querying the database to see if they're in our list of users. And so if they are, it returns a JSON object of all of their information, including one of the things that's most important for the redirects in our web application, which is the role. And so the 3 roles could be admin, student, or judge. In this case, I logged in as an admin, so based on that role that I got back from the database, I was directed to /admin of our web page. So now I'll show just a quick logout, and then I'll show a judge login. So if I log in as a judge, instead of being directed to the admin page, I'm directed to /judge, which is our judge screen. And so again, that's using the role that it's getting from the database. This is useful because, we have 3 different screens and we want to direct the user that's logging into whichever screen that they should be on. And so in order to do this, we're using a tool on the front end. It's a library called React Router. It takes care of all of our URLs and redirects and routing in combination with our authentication. Another thing that's really useful is that we can redirect users who are logged in already to the page that they're supposed to be on. But this also works if they're trying to access a page that they shouldn't be on. So if I'm a judge and I try to access /admin, I'm kicked back to the judge screen. Similarly, if I try to access the student screen, I'm kicked back to /judge. And then also, they're kicked back to the login screen if they aren't logged in, or if they log out. So if I log out and I try to access /judge, it brings me back to the home page, and this works for any route. Another thing that's really useful, particularly for judges, is this idea of local storage. And so once I log in as a judge, we save all of their information into local storage, and this allows us to do useful things like refresh the screen and maintain the page and maintain all of their information, and also allow the user to stay logged into the app. So if I put my phone down for a half hour and then pick it back up and go back to this URL, I'm still logged in because the competition lasts the whole day. We wanted to give them the ability to stay logged in for the whole day. But if the date goes past its expiration time, they'll automatically be logged out. The next thing that I really want to get into is the admin screen. So here I am logged in as an admin. And so admins really need the ability to add posters, which correspond to students. They need the ability to add judges. And then they need the ability to create the scoring assignments for round 1. So essentially this is matching a graduate judge to 3 or more graduate posters and matching an undergraduate judge to 3 or more undergraduate posters. And so there's kind of a couple ways or things that we implemented for this. We have this ability to upload posters, judges, and assignments using a CSV file. So Wendy Pero, who is in charge of running the poster competition, gathers all of this information of students that apply and judges that apply, and then creates mappings between the posters and the judges, and then takes Excel files or CSV files and uploads them to our app. And so to upload a file, we would need to click on this Choose File, and then select our CSV file. And then you can see here that it's selected, and then all I need to do now is click Submit. And then all of that data here is then populated into our table. And the way that this is done is using, on the front end, it's using a JavaScript library called Pop-Up-Parse, and Pop-Up-Parse takes data from a CSV file, converts it into an array of JSON objects, and then we can send that array of JSON objects to the database. And we do what's called an upsert command. So if those rows already exist, we just update their information. But if the rows don't exist, then we add them as new rows. And the way that we're able to effectively update them is knowing that each poster object and judge object and assignment object have unique IDs associated with them. We also have the ability to add individual items. So let's say I wanted to just add an individual poster. I could click on New Poster, and that would bring up a form with all of this information that I would need to fill out in order to create a poster object. Similarly, I could delete a poster just based off the ID that's already in the existing table. I could do the same for judges, fill out all this information, and then delete a judge. So let's say I wanted to delete Judge 12. I could just enter the ID, submit delete, and then we no longer see Judge 12 in the table. And then if I wanted to add Judge 12 back, Judge ID 12, any email that's associated with them, and then their PIN number, which is given to them on the day of the competition, and then their status, so whether or not they're a graduate judge or an undergraduate judge. And I can see here that their data is back in the table. And just to go over the information for a poster, so a poster needs obviously a poster ID, but then the title of the poster, the department that they belong to, the email address, the student's first name and last name, the student's PIN number, which is typically the last 4 digits of their phone number, and then again their status, so whether or not they're a graduate or an undergraduate student. And then lastly, I also have the ability to do the same thing with the assignments, which is just the mapping. So this is essentially saying these judges are going to score this set of posters. So I could map Judge 12 to poster GO1 and GO2 and GO3. I can also delete assignments by just entering both the judge ID and the poster ID. And then again, it can still do the upload.